I came here, man, I was under the impression that Colorado didn't have talent at that position, at the quarterback position. So when I came here, I thought I was just going to just slide on in and be the guy. Unbeknownst to me, man, athletic ability is not what just not all that it entails. So when they told me I had to read defense, I had to know coverages, I had to know fronts, I had to know linebacker structures and things like that. I was never taught that in high school, so I didn't know none of that stuff. So once we lined up, I can call the play, I can get us into formation. But when the defenses start doing, they start moving around and start toying with you, that was foreign to me. So I was trash, man, my first year. So I couldn't do it, man. And Sal was, he was the guy. He was a really good player. He was really smart. He knew defense. He knew all the things I didn't know, the nuances of them. And so I struggled, but I was good enough to the point where they would just call plays, with the ball in my hand, knowing that I had no read. I could just take care of it and run. And so I didn't play a lot my freshman year. Then in the bowl game, they threw me in the bowl game because Sal Messi was struggling a little bit. So they threw me in, and I stunk it up, man. I said to myself, I gotta study more. I gotta be more dedicated to the game of football if I want to be successful. And then going into spring ball of '89, we're practicing and we're conditioning, and every time we were conditioning, Sal Messi would lean over on the trash can. He would throw up, and we used to always say, man, Sal needs to go quick partying, man, because he's drinking too much because he was always throwing up. And, that was a joke, inside joke. And then one day, right before we were running to go, right before we were to go for spring break, we were running, and Sal was the same thing. He ran to the trash can, he's throwing up, and he started throwing up blood. And everybody's like, oh man, something wrong with him. No one, put two and two together. Everybody goes home for spring break, and I'm home and get a call from our offense coordinator, and he tells me, he said, hey man, are you sitting down? I'm like, yeah, I'm sitting down. It's got to be working out. And he goes, okay, good. He goes, because you got to lead this team. We got a lot of guys on this team that have potential to go to the NFL, and you're going to be the guy that's going to get them there. If you don't do what you're supposed to do as a quarterback, those guys will work hard and their aspirations and to go to the NFL, they're not going to be fruitful because you're not doing what you're supposed to. So you got to grow up to be a man. He said, by the way, Sal Messi's been diagnosed with inoperable cancer, and you have 6 months to live. I mean, he has 6 months to live, and you got to lead these guys. And I'm like, oh wow. So what that did to me was a light bulb went off. And I knew that I had a lot of people depending on me, and if I wanted to do what I wanted to do in college, and be the guy, it was time for me to step up and learn the offense and be dedicated for the first time in my life to learning something. So, I did that. I met with Coach, twice a day before meetings, and then had another meeting session, doing a meeting with everybody else. So once we got to spring ball, man, I knew the offense like the back of my hand, and the rest is history. We wound up in 1989 having a magical season. Sal Messi was at the first 3 games. He was 3-0, and he's cheering us on. And then we had a bye week, and once we had that bye week, Sal took a turn for the worse, and he passed during that bye week. And our first game back, playing the University of Washington down there, which is a tough place to play. And we go in there, man, and one of our captains, just got on took a knee on the ground and pointed to the sky. And everybody else just took notice of it, and the whole team just got together in the middle of the field and took a knee and pointed to the sky, and everybody was pointing to Sal. No one had to say a word. We all knew what we were doing, and then we go out and kick off, man, and we wound up beating the University of Washington. I want to say we beat them 39 to 7 or something like that in that game, and the rest is history. We went on to play for the national championship. We didn't quite win it because the last game we didn't play well. But we wound up coming back in the year later and winning the national championship. But it was all centered around, Sal Messi and guys forging together and coming together for one common goal, and that was to play for the love and honor of our fallen teammate.
Yeah, that Washington game that you just mentioned, that was on September 30th, 1989. You put up 45 points. You beat them 45-28. So that was the final score. That
okay, 45.
Yeah, you put up 40.
Okay, I know we scored a lot of points.
Yeah, it was 45.
That was amazing.
Yeah, go ahead.
That was an amazing game, man. Just to come together and to, because we had highs of, being 3-0 the first three games, and then we had the bye week where, we just trying to, heal our bodies and stay on track. And then, the guy that you were playing for, he takes a turn for the worse and didn't make it during that week. And it was hard because now we're all at a point where we're looking around and now we're trying to, doubting what are we playing for? And then when our captain got on the knee, man, and pointed to the sky, man, everybody knew what we had to do, and everybody bought in, man. And it didn't last just for that one season. It didn't last just for that next season that we won the national championship. It lasted, man, for at least about a good 10 years until Coach McCarthy retired. When he retired, then things changed, a little bit. But during those times, man, we played for Sal and Nessie, and people came in here and knew that this program was all about Sal and Nessie. It was all about family. And if you wanted to be here, you had to be a part of family. And a lot of guys that's like they were looking for. They wanted to be a part of a program that was all about family and faith, man. And this place was special, and it's still special to me. And I'm blessed and truly honored to still be around this place.
Yeah, in that matchup against Washington, you led a rushing attack that ran for 420 yards. And Eric Bieniemy ran for 2 touchdowns. So that was definitely, a big-time game. The other game I want to talk about during that season, you went up against Nebraska. You won 27-21. That was more important games of that year. Talk about that win against Nebraska, beating them 27-21.
Well, that game against Nebraska, man, we had to beat them in, I think like 10, 15 years we had to beat them, something like that. And, when you haven't beat somebody, in a long time, you gotta have a sense of doubt, a sense of, a little bit of intimidation. But what our coach did for us, he took the pads off, during the week, leading up to Nebraska, we didn't hit. We just it was all mental approach to the whole game, and we honed in on our skills, honed in on what they were going to do on defense, what they were going to do on offense, what they were going to do on special teams, man. And it was a game, man, to where we knew what they were going to do, they knew what we were going to do, and the team that made the least mistakes was going to win the ball game. And we went out, man. We had so much firepower. We had so much. We were fresh because we didn't have the pads on, during the week, and they scored, we scored, man, and it was a game where it was standing room only. It was on national TV. The crowd was really, really noisy. It was an awesome experience to be a part of. It was my family from Los Angeles. It was their first time in college come to see me play a football game. I had a bunch of my high school friends, my high school coach. It was an amazing opportunity, and we seized the moment, and we played some flawless football, and the rest is history, man. It was big time. It was big time. That it just brought back some memories, man. That I remember we were moving the ball and couldn't do stuff, and then we get the ball in the second half, our second quarter, and we running down left side or that visiting sideline, and I think I ran the ball like 40 yards down the field and pitched it, and J.J. Flanagan, he gets the tight rope down the sideline for another 30 yards for a 70-yard touchdown, and then we start rolling after that, man. It was big time.
Yeah, you had 86 yards rushing. You had a touchdown. You was right about J.J. Flanagan. Yeah, he ran for a 70-yard touchdown to tie the game up at 7-7. It was a battle of unbeatens, and that was maybe the game of the year as far as that regular season is concerned. So that was a big win. I want to fast forward to the Notre Dame game. Obviously, you was #1 in the country. You're doing some special things, and you run into the defending champions at the time, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Talk about the preparation aspect, getting ready for Tony Rice and Rocket Ishmael, Ricky Waters, and Derek Brown, those guys. Talk about the game leading up to that game for us preparing for a big time program in Notre Dame. They're a big time program. Talk about that 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 moment, just getting ready for them.
Well, getting ready for them, we knew that they had all the top guys in the country, that got recruited there, and guys that got recruited from Notre Dame. It wasn't just they wasn't no fluke, and they like you said, they just won a national championship, and they were a really well coached team. Who hosts the head coach, Barry Alvarez, the defensive coordinator. They were a really good team. And Coach Lou Holtz, he was a guy that was big on strategy, and he was big on getting in the heads of the opposing team. And I think our guys, we kind of, I don't think we overlooked them or anything like that. I think we kind of let them get into our head a little bit, and we played entirely too tight. And toward the end, I think that we by being uptight and playing tight, we didn't play our best game because we didn't play free. We're a team that we depend on big plays and great opportunities, taking advantage of things, and they didn't make mistakes, and we didn't make mistakes early on, and then we started making mistakes as the game got closer, got tighter. I think we kind of crumbled, and they thrived on that because they've been there and done it. That was the first time that Colorado had been on a major stage like that, and I don't think we were mentally prepared for it. But it was a wake up call, and it was a game that it put us in the national spotlight and made us hungry to do it again and get the same type of exposure for the program and the same type of exposure for our seniors. And the seniors being Eric Bieniemy and Alfred Williams, Candace McGee, and all those guys. We wanted to make sure that those guys went out the right way, and that when we prepared all season long after we lost that game, we prepared for the next season like it was it was the last thing that we were ever going to do in life, and we were ready, and we just really good things moving forward.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the game is that it was very close. There was no score after the first half. It was scoreless,
Right.
0-0. And you got to go back to
Right.
1938 between Auburn and Michigan. Last time, the Orange Bowl at that time, was deadlocked scoreless. So you was right in the game. It's just that, like you said, you had a good game yourself. 106 yards rushing, 19 carries, but you turned the ball over. Bieniemy, he fumbled the ball. At times, and Rocky Ishmael, he had 106 yards, 108 yards, and a 34-yard touchdown. So, yeah, y'all had a chance to win that game, but yeah, like you said, they got in your head, played tight, in the magnitude of that moment, because Notre Dame used to being in this situation. That's why I want to have you on the show, because I remember that time, I remember that game vividly. How Colorado was on that big stage, and you just couldn't handle it. So that's that. Yeah. So that's the reason why you had to get it done the next year. But yeah, I just want to talk about that game and keep moving. So 1990 rolls around, very unorthodox kind of season because a lot of teams got knocked off, got picked off. Miami was preseason #1, national champions, and all of a sudden everybody started losing. The game I want to talk about in 1990 was the fifth down game against Missouri, 33-31. That was a crazy finish. Talk about that game.
Yeah, that game was unbelievable, man. We had I want to say they counted during that game. We had like 100 plus falls.
Right.
When I say falls, they had a turf field that you had to wet it to make it a non-slippery surface, and they didn't wet the surface, and we had these cleats for the surface that it was supposed to be for. So we had these cleats, man, and with them not wetting the field, every time we made a cut, our guys were sliding, falling down, and we couldn't keep ground. So that I think that kind of kept them in the ball game. And then they were scoring touchdowns on our defense, and we were just trying to stay in the game with them. And then I got hurt my shoulder. Charles Johnson comes in, my backup quarterback. He comes in and he does some really good things to get us to the point where we get to that point where we get 5 downs. But what happened was we clocked the ball, we ran the ball. When I say clocked, we downed it and we ran it, and we tried to run a naked pass and didn't get anything and down it again. But when we down on the fourth down, it was third down on the marker. So when it was second down, they never changed it. So we don't take fault for those guys not changing it. We don't take fault for the referee not changing it. We were just given an opportunity to keep playing the game of football, and we took advantage of it on fifth down, which would have been fourth down. And with Charles Johnson, he got the ball and ran the ball to the right, dove inside and got the touchdown, and we won the ball game. And a lot of people said that we should have gave the game back and all these things. There's no such thing, man. When we didn't control the clock, we didn't control the yard line, we didn't control any of that stuff. All we did was play within the game, what we seen on the sideline, what we seen on the clock. So we did everything within our power to play within the game of the rules, and it just so happened that some people, some human error that led to us having an extra down, and we wind up winning the game.
Yeah, it was first and goal at the Tigers' 3-yard line with 31 seconds to play. And, the backup quarterback, Charles Johnson filled in for you. And he was able to score, spike the ball twice on first down and fourth down to stop the clock.
Right.
26-second span. And BM had a big game. He had 217 yards a touchdown, 29 carries. So, yeah, that was a crazy game. Yeah, it's not, your squad's fault for, taking advantage of the fifth down. That's on the referees. Yeah, you shouldn't have had to give the game back, for winning the game like that. So, yeah, that was such a crazy season, man. I remember that vividly. A lot of teams got knocked off as number one team in the country. You got also lost to Illinois by 1 point. But anyway, you still was able to get to where you had to go. And I want to talk about again, now you're number one. You're trying to get to the championship again. And now you've placed Colorado. And then you win 10-9. The thing about that game is that I caught a break. I mean, it was I think, it was a judgment call by the referees calling, the illegal block in the back. I think it was a clipping call when Rocky Ishmael went 97 yards for a touchdown. But talk about how crazy that game was, because you win 10-9, you win the national championship, but it was you caught a break, with the refs. But talk about leading up to that game. What was it like now that you facing Notre Dame again for a rematch? Now you're trying to win a championship again, facing a team that beat you the year before. But talk about your approach this time. Was y'all tight? Was y'all loose? Talk about that experience the second time around.
No, we were going into the 1990 national championship game. We felt a sense of relief. We felt a sense of getting a second chance. And when you get a second chance in life and anything, you want to make sure that you take advantage of it. So we were loose. We were confident, and we knew that if we just went in and played mistake-free football and continued to battle for 4 quarters, 60-minute ball game, that we could come out victorious. Now, we both teams. I think both teams were a little tight, towards the middle of it. But as we kept battling, we stayed in it and kept getting opportunities, but couldn't capitalize. Those guys, they couldn't really move the ball in our defense. And then we had we get the ball, and we had to punt to Rocket, and we wanted to punt it away from him, and we got a bad snap, and they rushed us, and our punter, he wanted to get it and kicking it right down the middle to Rocket, and all I remember is looking on the sideline, because I had at halftime, right before halftime, I was running the ball and made a cut. Grass came from under my foot. And I wound up tearing my patella tendon. And Charles Johnson, again, he was called upon to help us and to get the victory. And when Rocket ran that ball back, and we flag come out. We didn't know if the flag was against us or it was against them. Luckily it was against them, man. They called that thing back, and we were given that break, and man, I'm telling you, it was an unbelievable feeling knowing that with that opportunity to they made the mistake of blocking us in the back. And they had to take the ball back where Rocket had caught it, and we knew they only had X amount of time, man, and we were going to be crowned national champions, and to go in there and to play for it twice and get an opportunity to rebound from the year before was an unbelievable feeling, man. And one thing they can't do is when you crown champions, they can't take it from you. So that's one thing that stands proud, man, to know that I was a part of a University of Colorado team that was a national champion, and that's something that I stand by, and it's something that I'm proud of, and I'm proud of myself, proud of my teammates for persevering and sticking together, through tough times and good times, and that's something that, like I said, they can't take it away from us, and we'll always be known as champions.
Yeah, that was no big win. Obviously, your first national championship, and the '91 season. Obviously expectations are high. Talk about that because unfortunately you lost to Baylor, lost to Stanford, and you had a tie in that game in that season. But talk about the expectation. Was there being burnt out? Because you had a chance to win 2 consecutive national championships, and you won one during that from '89
Right.
to '91. But talk about the '91 season.
Right.
What went wrong in that season? Because you lost a few games during that season and had a tie.
Well, the '91 season, I don't think it was we were a bad team or anything like that. We were a good team, but I think what happened was, we had guys that were really that were role players, and they were special teams players in '89 and '90, and then they were put in that position to be starters in 1991, and I would say guys wasn't ready.
Okay.
Guys wasn't. When I say ready, I don't mean they didn't know what they were doing. I mean, I don't think we had the same hunger that we had prior 2 years, because we had different people doing it, different people in different roles, and when in 1991, we had a lot of different guys, trying to prove points, and I don't think we played together as a team like we had played, those previous years. But those guys that also played in 1991, a lot of them were they were first round draft picks too. Charles Johnson, the receiver, he was in 1991. Michael Westbrook, he was in 1991. Chad Brown, Ted Johnson, Greg Beaker. We had some guys, Deion Fingers, but we didn't play with the same chip on our shoulder.
Okay.
I think that not having that same chip on your shoulder, the same intensity, and that same want to do, I think that kind of derailed us that season.
Yeah, and you played in the Blockbuster Bowl against blue blood of college football. Obviously, they are that now. Alabama, you lose 30-25. That was your final game as a senior quarterback. Speaking, you brought up Michael Westbrook. Yeah, you threw a pair of touchdowns, one to Charles Johnson and to Michael Westbrook. I think he was a true freshman, correct? In '91, Michael Westbrook.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So Westbrook. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I can't hear your phone cut out.
No. Like I was saying, Westbrook was a true freshman. I wanted to make sure because he's the guy that made that Hail Mary catch against Michigan. Cordell Stewart, throwing the
Right.
Hail Mary to him. Yeah, so you had
Right.
some talented players around you, but you lose 30-25 against Alabama. What went wrong in that game? Because that was your final game as a collegiate athlete.
Right. What went wrong in that game is this. and it's something that I would say again and over and over and over again. Uh, our my offensive coordinator Gary Barnett didn't coach in that game. He had went on to become the new head coach at the University of Northwestern University, and um, we had a new offensive coordinator who was, at the time he was our tight end coach, Les Steckel. So Les Steckel comes in, and Coach McCartney, he wanted to get some guys in here to change the offense because Coach Steckel they wanted to throw the ball a little bit. They didn't want to run the option anymore. So in order to get a guy like Cordell Stewart and some other receivers and things like that, they wanted to showcase in the bowl game that they were going to stick to that philosophy of changing the throwing the ball, and so they had me out there, running that offense, and I'm telling you, it was a good offense. It just wasn't tailor made for a guy that's 5'10", 190 pounds, and my offensive tackles and my offensive guards are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". I couldn't see over them guys dropping back. So I was pretty much throwing the spots, hoping that those guys would be there. At times, they were, and at times they wasn't. So, it wasn't an offense that was tailor made to my skill set, and it was just that was one of the reasons why we didn't win that game. I think defense played pretty good. Offense played, we sputtered, but we also made some big plays, did some things. But I think if we'd have played, the offense that I was comfortable with for 3 years prior, then we probably would have been a different outcome. But that's not here or there. That's what they wanted to do. It was for the betterment of the program, and I agree with it. And the rest is history. But that's why we didn't. That's why we played poorly in that game.
Okay, so that was your final game of your career. And the thing about your career is that in 1989 season, you became the sixth player in NCAA history, Division 1A, to gain more than 1,000 yards passing and more than 1,000 yards rushing in the same season. And you had a 28-5-2 record. You never lost in the Big Eight. You was 20-0
Right.
and undefeated. And you had a great career during that time, and you was inducted into the Colorado Athletic Hall of Fame in 2002. You maybe have been, like, according to alumni, according to the research, that you were the best player in Colorado history. This sum up, though, coming from where you came from, Los Angeles, and coming to Colorado to just have that such an impact, especially replacing Sal Onisi, dealing with that situation. Just talk about that perspective.
Right.
Just being such a great quarterback at that time, just due to the circumstance, replacing an alien quarterback, unfortunately, with cancer, and then you take him to the national championship game, you win that championship. Let's talk about the just looking at your career, how great it was. Let's speak on that, because you came from difficult circumstances in terms of replacing a quarterback and have to do what you did. Just talk about that.
Yeah, that was something that I never expected to do. I never expected to come to college and have I wanted to have a great career. I wanted to do some really good things, but I didn't really think that it was going to transpire like it did. When I first got here, I was awful. Didn't know how to read defenses, and my coaches stuck with me. The players stuck with me, and I always worked hard because that's how I was raised. You got to work hard to get anything in life. Nothing's gonna be given to you. So I knew I had the work ethic, and I knew I had the talent. I just didn't have the knowledge, because it wasn't that was something that was never instilled in you at my high school. And we didn't really, we studied film, but we didn't go over fronts. We didn't go over defense. We said, okay, this is what they're gonna be doing. This is what they're gonna look like when we're on first down, when we're on second down. We didn't do none of that stuff. So we just looked at film and we said, okay, when we go, we can run an option, we can do this, we can do that. But we didn't say, this is how they're going to break us down, this is what they're going to try to do to us. I didn't know none of that stuff until I got here. And then once I got the knowledge of what teams were trying to do, and I really got taught the nuances of the game of football, then it became a chess 11 on 11. I'm gonna make sure that my guys are gonna get the best of me. You know, they're gonna. I'm gonna do my dangest to make sure that we come out victorious. You know, all within the rules. But but I play my butt off when anything that I'm in competition with, you gonna get the best from me. You know, and for me to replace Sal and but the thing I wanted to do, I wanted to make him proud because if he wouldn't have gotten sick, then who knows what would happen to me. But he got sick and I took advantage of it. But I took advantage of it knowing that I was little brother playing in big brother's shoes and trying to make big brother proud. And that's all I thought about when I was playing. I wanted to make Sal proud. I wanted to make the university proud. I wanted to make my coaches proud back home and at the University of Colorado. And I wanted to do all I could do to make sure that on Saturday, me and my teammates were victorious. And, the rest is history. And being inducted to the Hall of Fame, man, that's a big accomplishment, coming from South Central LA. Now, people consider me